Leaf size comparison of Himalayan blackberry could indicate soil health by Nicole Jones. I chose the upper and lower sections of Bibble Park to complete my study on the different plant health of species in two sections of Bibble Park. I chose this park because it's central in our city and it's beautiful and it has vast and ecological and biological significance for the area. I also chose the Himalayan blackberry as my species of study. The blackberries appeared to be a species present in both areas, but the mass of the plants was different in the two areas, so I was interested to see if I could find an explanation for this and study an invasive species to better understand the process and the threat they present to ecosystems. The research areas that I did, this is Lower Bibble Park. This area starts in the downtown area of the city where there is more human disturbance. It gets many visitors. It starts at this area, 5 Mile or Sycamore Pool, and goes up into 5 Mile and even farther up than that. But wildlife don't really access and forage in this area because there's always people walking or biking or playing or swimming. Upper Park is an area that's usually not as used as much. It's farther out of the city, it gets less visitors, and it's connected to the more wilder section of the park where wildlife can roam free and access and forage without as much fear of encountering humans. So Bibble Park is located in Chico. It covers 1,485.156 hectares of land. Like I said, it stretches from downtown up into the canyon. The two sections are the same because the creek runs through it, and there's also the blackberries and the live oak are present in both areas. There's more diversity present in Upper Park. There is more native plants present at Upper Park, so the blackberry has more plants to compete with. There were no deer observed in Upper Park when I was there, but there are the trees and the wild oak groves that lead down to the river that can provide the cover, which is like a preferred habitat for the deer. And the study completed by Jenkins and Howard also showed that the reduction in deer in urban areas does result in increased growth in woody invasive plants. And Chung 2020 stated that once humans clear a space, blackberries can take hold, so it is human disturbance that gives them the niche. Both parks contain that invasive species and both have cleared sections, so because they have that and there's the one area with more human disturbance, this makes these areas perfect for the research areas. The blackberry is also a good species because it's in both areas as well as it's resilient and invasive, and it has all the factors which make up an invasive species. So the species I chose is that Himalayan blackberry. So research review indicated that the type and amount of nutrients in soil will affect the growth of plants. So the nutrients in the soil will also affect the leaf and plant growth of plants, including alien species. So the blackberry plants have flourished in the area, so it's best suited for their growth based on the makeup of the soil. However, as the thickets appear to grow, the nutrients in the soil are possibly being diminished by so many invasive species and plants. So the diminishing soil quality may be limiting the plant's growth. This could be demonstrated by evaluating and determining if there is a significantly reduced mean leaf size of the Himalayan blackberry plant in Lower Park when compared to the mean leaf size of the Himalayan blackberry in the Upper Bibble Park. So this could show the effects that blackberry have on soil health as well as invasive species and the impact they have on soil health. So based on my observations and data, it seems that blackberry is the most abundant in Lower Park. So there are fewer native plants to compete against. There's a larger number of invasive plants in Lower Park from my observations. So with the higher numbers, I would hypothesize that the nutrients in the soil are being diminished. So I would expect the leaf size in the Lower Park to be smaller than the leaf size in Upper Park due to the demands of the nutrients in the soil in the larger blackberry thickets. So my hypothesis is that the mean leaf size will be smaller in areas where increased human disturbance in lower park reduces biodiversity of native plants and herbivore animal life that would control the plant population of the Himalayan blackberry, resulting in depleted soils where invasive species are taking hold. The method, I took 40 random samples in each area. I clipped some leaves, but I usually just measured them with a centimeter ruler. They were selected at the 2 or 3 leaves from the end to control for the stage of growth. I tried to pick the same area on the leaves so I could determine at which stage of growth they were at. So it was consistent. The 3 largest leaves in the cluster of 5 were measured to reduce too much variability. The leaves were picked evenly within the clumps. For each side, I computed the sample mean, sample variance, standard deviation, standard error, confidence interval at 95%, and the upper and lower limits of that confidence interval. If my hypothesis is correct, I would expect to see a significant difference in leaf size in plants in lower park than in upper park. My results, the results of my data supported my hypothesis. Based on the data, you can see in the chart that the mean length in lower park of the leaf was about 6 centimeters, and in upper park it was just a tiny bit over 8 centimeters. The variance and the standard deviation were also, there was more variation and standard deviation in the leaf size as well in lower park. And then based on the error bars and looking at the means of the leaf length and looking at the error bars, you can see that there's no overlap in the error bars, which shows that there is a significant difference in the mean length of the Himalayan blackberries in the 2 different sites. So based on those 40 samples taken, the mean length of the blackberry at the different sites was determined to be significantly different. The lower, this kind of goes over what I just went over with the tables. The lower park appeared to have blackberry plants with significantly smaller leaf size, and that kind of talks about what I just talked about in figure 1. There was no overlap, and then so overall my data does support my hypothesis that human disturbance with reduced native plants and more invasive species will affect plant health and leaf size, possibly due to the reduced quality of soil and the massive blackberry thickets. An alternative hypothesis may be that the mean leaf of the blackberry plants will be smaller in the lower park blackberry plants because they're farther from the river, so that water source could be part of, a variable that wasn't controlled for. Other logistical or non-ecological factors that could have influenced the data are possible errors in my measurement or plant selection when collecting the data. So future research could be completed to rule out these variables to test and refine the data results and hypothesis. The interpretation and application is that the results from the experiment demonstrate that there is a complex interconnectedness between biodiversity, ecological health, and invasive species. Resources needed by plants, humans, and wildlife are linked together in an ever-changing system and cycle. So to understand the factors and how each affects another is key in managing wildlife and keeping ecosystems balanced and healthy. As humans interfere in the systems, we can damage and upset the balance. We can also study the cascade of effects that follow from our interference and try to work to fix it and understand how to make a positive impact on wildlife. But we have to understand all those variables at play to really do a good job. This study may provide added information about the growth patterns of blackberries or the threat that they pose to soil conservation. This study may add an extra dimension of knowledge to the base of knowledge about how soil nutrients affect plant and leaf size, as already demonstrated by Yu et al. In 2022. Research like this study is just one small example of how one question shines a light on an issue and also provides the avenues for a lot more questions to be answered with future research. And these are my references. Thank you very much.